Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat, and welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evan. So good to be back with y'all today for Spirituality Thursday. We're going to be diving back into Spiritfarer. Hope everyone out there is having a good day. Hope everyone's having a good start to their Lenten journey. We had a beautiful Ash Wednesday here at the parish yesterday. Gave out ashes basically nonstop from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., so 15 hours straight of ashes. It was honestly amazing the amount of people we saw, the stories we heard. And it was, it was just really beautiful day to be with the people of God. But yeah, so I hope everyone's having a good start to their Lent as well. So let's go ahead. Let's get back into some Spiritfarer. So I was doing a little research on this, and I realized Spiritfarer is maybe a little bit longer of a game than I had anticipated. So I'm thinking of breaking it up into two sections. So next week I'll actually be out of town, and then the week after, do that, and that'll be 2 months essentially of Spiritfarer, and then swap to something else. Okay, you're good on everything. Uncle O'Toole, how are you? You're a little peckish. You're always a little peckish. Yeah, have some cherries. Oh, hello. Hello, magical there we go. Francis says it's your lucky day. How lucky you must be. Fresh errand. Let's go. I need pears, which I have a pear seed. I just don't have room for it. Oh. Cup of govna. I feel like we're pretty good on bottles. Especially because of the amount that we get when we dig up these mysterious seeds. So last time we did some exploration. We got beyond the ice wall. And we are now at Nordweiler. Let's go check out what's going on in Nordweiler. All right, what does this guy have for sale? Pork and chicken. Right, Uncle O'Toole wants fried chicken, and I think I know how. I did a little research, and thank you to Kit as well for helping with that. Yes, being beyond the ice wall does explain the snow. Did we already? Okay, we already came here, actually. Yeah, we already explored this town because we need the zipline ability. We need the zipline ability. As soon as we get that, there's another area we can go. I forget exactly where, but they were like, oh, when you have all three abilities, come back. So we'll keep that in the back of our mind. But for now, we're going to actually head back to the shipyard. I rearranged the ship and I forgot where everything is. Where'd I put the kitchen? There it is. Let's do rice. And let's do rice and a mackerel. Maybe we'll get sushi. The last time we built the climate control center for our friend there. Winter, summer, spring? Summer. Her name's Summer. And we learned that she has a bald head. I have taken to mean that she, the dragon is Cancer. There's also a second dragon. Can't make anything in the foundry right now. Yeah, cook up some iron. Seems like a good way to pass the time. Right up until we smack into something. What was that? Oh, that was the ice wall that we just hit and plowed through. So how's everyone doing today? Everyone having a good week? Oh, Uncle O'Toole wants to stop us. It's snowy? Yeah, we actually got a couple inches of snow here as well in the city. It was nice. Plus, you work at a ski resort, so I figured, you probably need snow. Gas Station Rogers, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I am really enjoying this game. I think its art style is great, and the story has been really enchanting, and some really beautiful moments. Except when Uncle O'Toole wants me to catch lightning, and I have to say, no, Uncle O'Toole, we're busy. See, I need the blueprint, We have upgraded the fields, I guess? Yeah, it grows faster. That's all good. That's all good. Nope. Okay, looks like we're sitting pretty on our improvements. I know we have some things to add to people's homes, but to do that, I'm going to need the aluminum, and I still haven't found that yet. Let's redirect just a wee bit to these crates, just while we're here. Then we'll reset the course, and it'll probably be time to go to bed. Nice, very nice. Doesn't look like there's any sunken treasure spots. But it seems like a good time to maybe clean up these barnacles. Now let's go to Albert's shipyard. Your magical boat, do you have to hit everything in the water? Casserole. Stella is a true Midwesterner. I guess I should, Roger, say that's all good. We're all here to experience games together and have a good time. Yeah, and I have found this game to be really fascinating. I recommend checking out my YouTube channel for the VODs, because this is episode 5 or 6, I think, that I've done this now. But I found the narratives very beautiful, honestly, and an encounter of healing for many of the characters. And honestly, I think from a theological perspective, this game is kind of a great metaphor for purgatory. Paella! Yes. Ooh. Making more paella. I love paella. And also just from a technical aspect, this game is gorgeous. Like, the animation style, the music, the design, it is just gorgeous. Let's plant some more mystery seeds, which at this point we know just grows stuff, but stuff seed just doesn't roll off the tongue as well. Alright, let's go see what bad pun Albert has for us. Can I make paella? You know, I never have, but it would be fun. Look at your hair. Looks like someone's been at the Baba shop. Do you ever regret your life choices? Because of the sheep on your boat. Oh, never mind. Crusher, that's what I need, and I have all the materials for it. I want to try this game out in multiplayer. Hey, it's all good. Glad you're here. I didn't... Yeah. Oh, yeah, this game does have multiplayer. Yeah, it has the local co-op where one person plays the cat. I'd love to know what that's like. What do we have now? We have a lounge. Ash plank zinc pulsar. What? I don't know what any of that is. I might grow a second orchard. Or build a second orchard. Dang, I can't build any of that new stuff. Anyway, Kit, you have redeemed a father joke. And I'm not counting Albert's. So, recently, scientists discovered a giant, natural occurring windmill. They say it's Mother Nature's biggest fan. Okay, that's where glass was for sale. Oh, right, I need the zip line to get into the Kalstein mines. Aluminum! Why is the dragon made of... You know what? I'm not going to ask questions, but the dragon has aluminum. Right. Planting a sunflower seed would yield sunflower seeds. I don't know what I expected. eye rolls happen. 10 out of 10. Father joke. Thank you. Thank you. I figure, I'm not a dad, and I'm, with the whole being a priest, vow of celibacy thing, probably not going to be a dad anytime soon. But I can still tell a good dad joke, and you know what? We'll give it an even better name. I hope Map Hack shows up today. I have one in store just for him. The jokes aren't any better. Aww. That's tough but fair. We need some ash planks, nebula fabric. I could grow another field, but I feel like I'm growing enough as it is. I would like another orchard. Ooh, that is a tiny little thing to hit. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. We actually need this. Yes. Start the event. What? I was accidentally resting on my controller in a way I should not have been. But now, hey, this gets us some more of this bright jelly, which is a pretty good resource to have. But also next time we see the garlic man, the turnip man, I'm not sure what he's supposed to be. Next time we see him. Because he wanted some of these green jellies. Nope, get back here. Thank you. Ah, dang it, I missed it. Just barely. It's going too fast. Should have been able to get it, though. All right, let's make some cotton fabric. Can't catch them all. At least I got some. Yep. Some is better than nothing. No, Uncle O'Toole. We're good. We are good. We are... Nope. We are good on ignoring this lightning storm. I thought that might be ready to harvest.
Don't you feel better now?
Always. Uncle O'Toole, I bet you're hungry by now. Oh, look, you are. Oh, delicious. I had a hankering for this. Oh, we're passing by Villa Maggiore. Oh, you are very hungry. My bad, sheep. Yep. Fortunately, my boat stops for me if I fall off. It's a very nice boat that way. And that's us through the ice wall, I guess. Alright. Where are you, Summer? I know you're the one we need to talk to when we get to the dragon. So if I can find you, that would be helpful. But you're gonna hide. Ah, there you are. You're in your house. Are you in or are you out? Summer, we need to face the dragon together. I hope we get there before night falls, but it's getting close.
Oh, this... Something smells different, don't you think? Oh, as I thought. Just help it, Stella.
Is this helping? I suppose that's actually also a good metaphor for tumors. you know, this having to be excised. Oop. Okay, the dragons get trickier. This is the second dragon that I've come across. No, no, no! There we go. Alright, where are you, dragon?
Incredible. It looks relieved, doesn't it? I wonder what it means. If you're ever to cross this dragon's path again, I think we should help it. However, I might feel about it for now. Though I need some time to collect my thoughts. Thank you, Stella, for everything.
You're welcome. Alright, let's sleep. We'll wake up. We'll, reorient the boat. Let's go to Furugawa for now. I will ring the bell. Don't worry. I just had to set our course first. Alright, we got 21 aluminum ore out of that. And I can't speak. Aluminium has a very delicate range. Like, it heats up very quickly, it seems. So you gotta keep adjusting that range. But it's very easy to overheat. Oh, just like that. Good morning, Uncle O'Toole. I think we can finally make the improvements to your apartment that you've been wanting. No, because we still need comet powder and ash plank. But was there something in We have everything in Summers. Oh, right. She wanted a aluminum. Yeah, let's give her those commemorative dishes. Let's make a little more wool, and then we can complete her apartment.
Stella the dragon. I thought it was getting tamer. It seemed like we've finally learned to coexist. To manage, at least, but it's really getting stronger, isn't it? Well, you know what it means as well as I do. It's time for me to go. Please, when you can, bring me to the Everdor. I'll be fine. Oh,
Metastatic coil. Boom. That refers to cancer, right? That is, oof. What a well done metaphor for that. Yes, another person for the Everdor. You know, honestly, the way they talk about the stuff of their life and where they are now as a spirit, it's almost as though we are going to them and they're still physically alive, but we're kind of speaking to them on a metaphysical level, like their soul has already begun the journey, and we're meeting them in that process. Oh, wait, no, I don't need cotton, I need wool. So we'll really quickly make this improvement. We're going to stop here because I think there's a spirit to pick up, if I'm reading the map correctly. And then we'll take our friend to the Everdor. It's always a bittersweet goodbye. Alice's cottage is improved. Your regular spirit. Aha. Are you not gonna talk to me? Rude. All goodbyes are bittersweet. Yeah. I think all real goodbyes. Right, we had visited that person. So until the spirit here on this island wants to talk to us, and I don't remember what it said before. But we're going to be down to 2 passengers, so I think it's time we started. We previously said goodbye to Stella's friend, Gwen. Oh, hey, Lizzie. Good to see you. We have not said goodbye to anyone yet. We're getting ready. We're going to go take Summer to the Everdor now. She asked us to take her there, so... Oh, eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord. I'm sorry to hear for your loss, Kit. Okay, what's along this path? Honestly, not a lot. Maybe we should make a detour here, though. Or, even better, we can make a detour to him, and then we'll go through the, What's my favorite snack? Oh, Yeah, that would have been a real blessing to give to him, but now he's no longer in need of the ashes, I suppose, and he is, a greater peace. But my favorite snack, I would say, I love a good sour candy for sweet stuff. Yeah, I don't like bad candy, I just happen to eat it. I do that for chat. Salty? Something cheesy. Pretzels. Like a soft pretzel I really like. There's probably not a way to quite go through both of those, but... I don't know, I'm really just pretty good with whatever. I mean, I exchange bits for suffering with bad candy. But I can't do that now because it's Lent and I gave up sweet things for Lent. Thank you, I do make really good soft pretzels. Oh, you're tired, aren't you? Of course, so many children are bound to leave you exhausted. Maybe we could play with them a bit and give you a rest. What do you think of that, Stella? Oh, wonderful. We'll have so much fun. I used to play this game with my grandchildren all the time. Just catch them and bring them back to Mommy. They're returning to Mommy for me. They're making it easy. I'm not sure why AutoMod flagged that, Lizzie, but I also made pretzels the other day. I made about 150 pretzels for the parish Mardi Gras party, which is a lot of fun. Ooh, but what about a pretzel pancake? I wonder how you would do that. I think it would be good. Like, I'm thinking you essentially just make a pretzel that's just very large and flat, and then you just put maple syrup on top of it. No, I can accept if I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. If you make a flat pretzel, does that automatically qualify as a pancake? What defines a pancake? So I think technically what qualifies as a pancake is a, it's basically a dough, or not a dough, it's a batter that you pan fry. Where, much like, you know, it could be the same batter as you would make a cake. Whereas a pretzel is made from a dough, which is something you knead and shape and bake. Dutch pancakes are baked? Oh, yeah, but they're still, like, it's still a batter. I'm just saying, like, a modern American understanding of what a pancake is. Like, you know, it's the cooked batter style. Hence, cake. And a rotata, readings of the daytime. So in the gospel today, Jesus says, you know, you need to take up your cross if you want to follow me. And very true words. Sometimes hard words for us to accept. But I think it's very fitting that we have that the day after Ash Wednesday because, you know, Ash Wednesday can seem this big, whoa, 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 whoa. Summer. Summer, are you okay? Summer, please. I didn't even give her coffee. She's got the zoomies. I need to. Happy sick. Oh, can someone clip that, please? Oh, that was amazing. Oh, man. Anyway, so, you know, Ash Wednesday is a big, you know, big day of fasting, abstinence, ashes on our forehead, you know, penance, and wonderful, beautiful day. But the church is reminding us, like, hey, this is really kind of our daily reality that we do this to give of ourselves and so that we can share love with the world. You know what? Have some tea leaves. I'm sure feeding a sheep tea leaves can't be worse than feeding it coffee beans. Ooh, what constitutes a cross in that context? You know, actually, linguistically, that's a really interesting thing because, like, it happens. I had a great Ashentine's Day, Happy Cynic. I hope you did too. Because Christ is speaking before even his own crucifixion, and so, like, the cross was understood as an idea, but certainly not as a. There was no spiritual component to it if you're looking at it purely temporal. So scholars think that maybe the exact word Christ used would have been something more like burden, but it gets adapted into the cross, you know, after the crucifixion because it's like, this is a even deeper way of understanding it. But I think cross, you know, what is your cross? And that's the interesting thing. I think it's, you know, cross singular. You know, you don't have to take on every burden of every life. But to recognize, you know, what are the burdens that you take on, not to punish yourself or, you know, bemoan yourself or anything, but to recognize, like, hey, what is something that's separating me from love? What is separating me from God's love, from the love of each other? And what do I need to do to, you know, maybe sacrifice a little so that that love can show forth more clearly? Uncle, sorry, we have a very important job right now. I know we've done other side missions, but... I am sad to say goodbye to Summer. Oh, I didn't ever wake her up. Still bell o'clock. Uncle O'Toole's an up and at 'em kind of guy, but Summer takes a little longer.
Good morning, honeybee.
Let's watch the Everdor come into view, I guess. Good kitty. All right, Summer. Where'd you get to, sweetie? Oh, there you are. Where are you going now? Are you going to your room? Yes.
Oh, Stella. Are you ready to go?
I don't know, are you?
Thank you. I really thought I could keep up with it this time, the dragon. I was certain it was calming down. I could feel it purring, the warmth of it in my chest. I guess I just did it all over again, just like my father. The dragon is a beast, indomitable, if I recall my own words correctly. Whether you choose to care for it or beat it down. Oh, what would Rose think of me? Would she be proud? Would she be ashamed? I can't help but wonder what she would have done in my stead. But I don't know. I know what she would have told me. She would have looked me straight in my eye. Her gaze would have pierced through the veil of my appearance. She wouldn't have said a word. She knew from the beginning. She knew the dragon would take me away. She knew I would have tried to love it and not hate it. Would she have judged me for my failure? I couldn't love it, Stella. I just couldn't. As much as I hate it, it is part of me now. It will be forever. If I want to leave gracefully, I must accept it for what it is now. I was looking forward to so many more lessons with you. You've been such a gifted student, Stella. I'm proud of you. So proud of your heart. So proud of your blossoming soul. I'm sorry to leave you. You'll have to learn by yourself. I have no doubt that you'll pull through. The only lesson I have left is to show you what we're made of ephemeral starlight. We're but a few particles of thoughts on the vast stream of consciousness. This is the last thing I can teach you, Stella. That all things change, that all things end. I'm so proud of you, Stella. And I know Rose would be too. Thank you for everything.
Goodbye, Summer. Kind of beautifully said. You know, accepting our immortality is exceptionally difficult. And there's different ways to do it, or not. But Summer tried her best. She thought she could beat it. Will we take our infirmities in heaven, or are we healed? That is a great question. So we can look to the resurrected Christ as an example. And, you know, the reality that he still had pierced hands and side raise questions of, you know, what does it mean to have a resurrected body? Will those sort of scars still be with us? Were those just for him and for the apostles? And with things like being deaf and mute, or you know, being deaf, to some people that is, you know, that's part of who they are, and they don't want that to be cured. They, you know, that's perfectly acceptable. That's, you know. But what it exactly will be like in the resurrection, we're not entirely sure. There's a whole lot of mystery there. Kind of want to try exploring down this way, see if there's anything, but it doesn't seem to be a lot. Bottom line core. We needed. Let's go back to bottom line core because we. Yeah, and for some, like, that sense of being made whole is also important. So it's, you know, it's, I don't want to give an answer that really invalidates one or the other in a certain sense, because I don't know. All right, if I have to change something. Well, that certainly is a modern choice. Very youthful. But what about something more classic? I knew there was a nice periwinkle outfit in the bottom drawer. Try it on. That is a lot of periwinkle. Oh, fantastic. Oh, sweetie, isn't that much better? Why, you look so adorable. I just eat you up, and there's plenty more for you to try on. Don't be shy. Come over anytime. I do love these little fashion shows with my granddaughter. Oh, what is it? You found an envelope in the bottom of the drawer. How peculiar. Well, don't make me wait. Open it. What does it say? Pictures and letters? Oh, those are mine. How did it ever end up here? What a mystery. Oh, look, this is my husband's handwriting. Oh, it's messy, all right. He never was a delicate man, but quite handy and so very loving. Oh, would you look at that? My backyard. See all those trees? Sweet Eugene planted a tree for every one of our children. And then for our grandchildren. We grew apples, cherries, pears. I remember my granddaughter playing in her mother's apple tree. Such sweet memories. Oh, look at me rambling again. Go ahead, sweetheart. I won't hold you back any longer. Good, because I'd like standard Stella back. Yeah, the closest I've gotten on a come and see for, you know, heaven is, well, the Eucharist. I haven't given it much thought before now, but so this orchard, it looks almost exactly like the one my husband built. Have you seen all these fine details? Oh, he was quite the woodworker. At least until his hands gave up on him. We planted our first apple tree along with the birth of our first daughter. You should plant a tree for yourself. Of course, it'll take some time before it can bear fruit, but once it's grown, it makes you feel so proud. It accompanies you your whole life. Oh, listen to me ramble again. I'll get out of your things now. Well, I've already grown a tree and gotten fruit. Don't forget that you're hungry. I know you want some fried chicken, Uncle. Oh, delicious. I'm hankering for this. I want to get you some fried chicken, but I'm having a hard time because I think I need to make sunflower oil, but I don't have a way to, crush the seeds. Ah, this tree still grew so quickly. I'm sure that the love you helped helped tremendously. The laws of this world would allow it. Well, I'm glad the tree is fully grown now. I know we'll be able to build some great memories here. Well, still, I've been doing some thinking all my life. I've had to take care of others. Cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children. We call that invisible labor. It's important to pay attention to. Was there a press in the new building? There's a crusher. They're a blessing, really, but I've never had any time for excitement, adventure. I thought if it's not too much of a hassle, of course, and since we're traveling all over the time, maybe you could come on a little trip with me. Just you and me. It'll be fun, I promise. How about that? Lillehammer Nordweiler, was it? From what I heard, it sounds just like my Swedish romance novels. Oh, I can devour these. Oh, what? You're also a fan? I knew you were a woman of culture. Anyway, if we're ever around these parts, I think we'll have loads of fun. Okay. Sorry, I'll get to your question in just a moment. Lizzie? All right. Another question a lot of people have asked, what age the resurrected body is present in heaven, the mystery of the human body, and a lifetime of existence, who we are, and how perfect a body is not defined by a single age illness. Yep. That's a great way to put it. Okay. So Uncle O'Toole, get this picture frame. I need to buy more glass, but I know that that's what you need to do. Ash plank. I don't think I've cut down any ash. I don't know what fire glow is. Need a blueprint. Let's see if I have any ash. I don't think I do, but we can just visit the... Yeah, I have maple and oak. Actually, really want to talk to your leader here. There we go. You're not saying anything until I've done more of a quest. Got it. If this got punched out. Do I think we'll actually have conscious awareness of things in heaven, or will we just be... The latter is hard to fathom how we observe every day. We absolutely will have... Like, that is something that's argued for in many theological places. That... Oh, right, we need the... Did we get the higher bounce? I thought we got the higher bounce. That we will be conscious. And I think that that ties into what we believe about the communion of the saints. You know, we can have intercession from them. Like, they're conscious. They're listening. You know, it's not a passive... They're not a device. They have 3 fewer days of vacation a year is a big problem for them. I mean, they should have thought twice about starting a family, right? Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. And they should be happy I'm not delocalized the production. Pay medical insurance? Yes! Yes, you should! Yeah, it's all good. What? Why would I pay them if they don't work? It doesn't make any sense. If they have a broken arm or whooping cough, they still don't work when they're not here. Okay, so that actually finally helped us advance that plot. So the secret was talk to him. But we won't move. No, not without having negotiated. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You're just trying to picture yourself, God willing, being in heaven, looking down at myself, taking note of what my body looks like. But such is the mystery of heaven, I guess. Yeah, well, I suppose God's going to make us all into the most wonderful forms of ourselves. They just want to negotiate. You say, look, it's getting hot in here. I'm getting hungry, too. Okay. You can tell them I'll reverse my decision on the vacations. I'll wait for you here. So, nope, not enough. Plus 20% increase in wages and full compensation for medical expenses, as well as another week of vacation and 5% on capital gains. Dang, this person's a tough negotiator, but I really can't disagree with them. Reminder, the Catholic Church is very much in favor of workers' rights. I really need to pee. Okay. Give them whatever they want. Tell them whatever they want. But they have to stop calling me Mr. Moneybags, got it? Go on now. I have to find the key to this door. Hey, we successfully negotiated a union contract. He agreed to everything you said. Wonderful. Oh, you're one heck of a negotiator, Munchkin. I like you already. Look, my work here is done thanks to you. I probably embark with you on your fancy boat of yours. I can't wait to rest my old bones in a cozy home and have you by my side, Munchkin. See you there. Yay! We have someone new on the ship. Yeah. Holistic dignity of the human person. Yeah, let's talk to this person. New soul, new soul, new soul. What are you waiting for? Took you long enough? Ooh, how regal. Woof. Oh, that felt funny. You'd think I would have seen everything at my age. Not sure I liked it, though. But sure beats being an impersonal hooded blob. Those capes were really scratchy. Ah, it feels good to breathe the fresh air. Time for me to stretch my legs for a bit. I'm hungry as well. You know what? Would you be a dear and fix me a little meal? That would be marvelous. Thank you, Munchkin. Okay, you can leave me now. How about some fish? New soul needs new digs, exactly. Well, it's a bit overcooked, isn't it? Okay, you are... Stella has the right idea here with that face. You are a guest, and I'm going to guess that you're going to be a pain in the butt the entire time you're here, but you're going to have some sort of transformational ending when we take you to the Everdor that explains why you are this way to keep people away. So I am going along with it. It is a cat. Kind of bland. Bah, never mind. That will do. Thank you, Munchkin. Oh, you're a sweetheart. Switches from berating us to calling us kind nicknames. That is not, for the record, that is not an emotionally healthy pattern. In, especially at a first meeting like this. I've been out of the loop on that island. You tend to lose track of your fight for workers' rights. Oh, we should catch up on the latest gossip, don't you think? Oh, but don't get me wrong, I don't really like gossip. But we need to stay informed, in case important things happen. And I know just the right person. An old friend of mine has been roaming the seas. She can probably tell us what's been going on. A game for a little adventure? Well, it's not like you have a choice. She should be around. She gained a bit of weight recently, but don't tell her that. She's always making a scene when someone mentions her appearance. Oh, let's go meet her. Hurry up now. Wow. New request, 3 sisters. I didn't even catch this cat's name. And we don't have a lodging for him yet. So he's probably going to have to tell us what he wants it to look like. Yeah, so Uncle O'Toole wants a picture frame. He wants fried chicken. But I need special stuff for both of those that I don't have. We want to go to Nordweiler, Seabound Friend, and the shopkeeper. That must be the quest to get the other spirit. For now, we're gonna... We're gonna head to Nordweiler. See if I can build any of this new stuff really quickly. Or another orchard, that would be good. I need to make nebula thread. Did I make up all? And oak planks, okay. Yeah. I have a crusher. I have a chicken coop. I don't have marble, so I can't make the windmill, even though I've had that for a while. In the lounge, I need zinc ingots. I don't know where to get those. Yeah, cruncher, but I can't build it. Because I need zinc ingots or some such. Hey, Mapak. Good to see you. How you doing? You have a good Ash Wednesday? I need to send... I took a selfie yesterday after you said you don't believe me about my ashes still looking good. After, you know, like 15 hours. But you're well, Ash Wednesday was good? That's great. That is great to hear. Mine was busy, but a beautiful way. I was basically hanging out in the church and giving out ashes from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Yeah, I need ash, pulsar, and zinc to make the crusher. I don't have any of those. Oh, boy, howdy, do I have a very special father joke just for you. And this is great because we're on a voyage. So I once worked for summer in a Parisian shipyard. And I worked with some really great people there. They didn't really speak much English. I don't really speak much French. So, you know, it's kind of hard to communicate. But, you know, we still had a great time. But sadly, you know, the boss just didn't really pay us all that well. So I guess maybe the real treasure were the French ships we made along the way. That's amazing. I thought. Oh yeah, no, go ahead. I did that so fully for the intention of you getting to steal it. Ah, Stella, come here. I'm happy you found me, Munchkin, and I'm happy we've been able to help these poor souls in the factory. The workers deserve better, and the ruling class will never change. Bunch of swines they are. They're the same as us, you know. They just pretend to be superior, because their wallets and their houses are bigger. Yes, I know not all rich people deserve to die, but I've never accepted how the workers are treated. Exploited, diminished, just because of their birth. It's unfair and unjust. But I will fight for them with my last dying breath. Well, I've got some news for you. So Map Hack gets that father joke specifically because Map Hack is always making maybe blank is the real friends we made along the way. Used to work in a can crushing factory, believe it or not. The hours were terrible. They had like zero benefits. Honestly, it was so depressing. You still haven't told me your name. You, like, I get that you're fighting for a good cause, and I support that good cause, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me like garbage. Especially when I helped you. You can really get people with that if you start solemnly. Yeah. I mean, it's a good fake hoot. Have a cabbage. Oh, hey, he actually walks on all fours. Hello, Ice Wall. Yeah, so zinc. I'm thinking zinc might be in the Kalstein mines, but to get into the Kalstein mines... Oh yeah, this game is gorgeous. Its art style, the way it looks so hand-drawn. I'm kind of convinced it is hand-drawn, to be honest. And like all the characters have such amazing amounts of personality to them, even just in their movement. You should have seen... We'd sent someone off into heaven, and she was a snake, literally, and like we still managed to find a way to give her a hug. Oh, she also walks on all fours. Hey, Vision, how you doing? Oh, little one, let's go. I have a feeling we might be taking her to the Everdoor soon, because we got her house fully built. She's doing the nice thing for herself.
Oh, how invigorating. Oh, Stella, thank you so much for bringing me here. Oh, the smell of the crisp winter air. And these colors. Why, I feel like a young girl again. Oh, let's go already. I can't wait to see all the sights.
Well, it would be rude not to while you're here.
Look at that. Is that an ancient wooden elevator cage? Oh, what a wonderful construction. I didn't think I'd ever see one of those with my own eyes. Remember, it's by climbing one of these that Ansgar managed to get away from the Herald's gang. A treacherous and icy cage that claimed many a young man daredevil's life. But of course, Ansgar managed to escape with the Countess's sapphire with ease and grace. Oh, he was quite the cat burglar. Oh, look at me, I'm swooning just thinking about it. As for us, I think we should just climb the ladder. Watch out for the ice patches.
Aw, she's a hopeless romantic. She's so sweet. Ah. So this is where I get ziplined, but I need another passenger. Get it.
Oh, and this statue here, with the bushes ever white. Oh, just as I pictured it, how uncanny. Doesn't it remind you of the shrine where Ansgar offered the sapphires to Agneta? I would have stolen 100 gemstones and fought 1,000 ruffians for the opportunity to gaze upon your beauty, but for a second. Oh, how romantic. And then she confessed her love, and then they...
Well, you know what happens next.
Although in my mind it wasn't so cold outside. Well, Ansgar sure was hot-blooded. I know that's how he makes me feel.
Oh my. Happy Meat Island. I have never heard it called that, but I'm calling it that forever.
Oh, and this dark and windy spot. Oh, just like the scaffoldings where Ansgar and Harald's dueled. Oh, I can see the scene so clearly. The clicking of the swords, the distant barking of the dogs, and the whistling of the policemen. Oh, even the smoke reminds me of the train station below. And then glinting in the shadows, a small needle-like knife. And just as Ansgar had adeptly disarmed his opponent, the treacherous Agneta emerges and stabs Ansgar in the back. Of course, how could Ansgar know that she was the half-niece of the cruel Harald? Oh, the bleeding Ansgar advances haphazardly to the edge of the scaffolding. And as he reaches the edge, he glances back and finds that he is cornered by his opponents. With nowhere to go, they know it is but a matter of time before they can deliver him to Duke Frederick, Ansgar's long-estranged twin brother. Of course he is. And the usurper of his family title. But Ansgar, elegant to his last breath, raises a hand in farewell, smiles softly, and just as he is engulfed by the smoke from the locomotive below. Aww. Ouch. Oh, what? Oh no. Stella, I'm alright, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just a little tired. Let's go back home, okay? Let's go. Oh, that was really cute. It was really sweet getting to go on this little trip with her, just for her, and see these sights. The writers of this game did a great job with like those little interactions and just, again, just the depth of character. Uh-oh. Oh, it's so far. Wait up, I'm tired. Would you mind helping an old lady back to the tender? Not at all, ma'am. Not at all. Good day, sir. Good day, sir. Oh. A minute, Stella. Oh, I wanted to have a word with you. We had some fun together with the trip and all, but I keep following you around like that. It's just too tiring. And besides, it's not befitting of an old lady like me. Just, has anybody told you how smothering you can be? Please, leave me some space now, will you? What, excuse me, how smothering I can be? You're the one who's fickle. She's having a rough day. I apologize for snapping at her. Okay, so there is another spirit, and we need that spirit to get the zip line at Mount Toriyama. So I need to go talk to the shopkeeper, I guess. I guess I would. Is that what I need to do? Talk to the shopkeeper, yeah. And then find Astrid. Oh, that's his name, Astrid. Congratulations, Hedgehog Lady. You made the Grim Reaper upset. Yeah, well, you know. We all have our bad days. Don't immediately see anything obvious that would be Astrid's sister. Except that thing named Olga. That's probably Astrid's sister. But she's out of the way. And right now we need another spirit. If you've ever played Hades, you know that doesn't end well for you. Well, fair enough. Although this game opened with Karen, the boatman. Excuse me. It opens with Karen, the ferryman, giving you the job and going through the Everdor himself. So, thank you. So, you know, we got that to look forward to, I guess. Let's get something cooking overnight.
Oh, right, I wanted to plant a second orchard. Or build a second orchard. Build. Oh, I need to make oak planks for it. Oh, hey, Atul.
You might have noticed, but Alice, well, she seems to have some trouble getting around, doesn't she? I don't think she can use ladders anymore. I'm not sure she'd tell you this, but I think she's stuck up there. Maybe you could move her house to the deck level. I'm sure that would help her.
Okay, she needs to move to a one-level house.
Ah, delicious. I had a hankering for this.
And I have some mail for Furugawa Tours. Greetings from Furugawa. Don't worry. Okay. A word. No, Astrid. No word for you. Let him cook. Gotta do the morning chores. And then we'll cut some oak planks. And then while we're building and rearranging things. He cooked frog legs. Ooh. little grim there, Kit. Yeah, that was lunch at the French shipyard. Why does the wood need to be cut like that? Because it said so. This is exactly how you make a perfectly straight and narrow 2x4. It's by cutting a log kind of higgledy-piggledy. Oh, you're fine. Kid, I'm just making a joke. Although he certainly jumps like a frog.
Aren't you hungry? Maybe it's time to eat soon. I think we might have skipped a meal. Oh no, she's... Oh, thank you. I was getting quite hungry.
She has some form of dementia, I think. It's sad. A priest? Joking. First of all, how dare you? I know. I would dare. Priests lose their sense of spirit in order to from the blessings of the Holy Spirit. I don't know if that's a blessing, but... Okay. See, where are we? We must be near one of those thingamajig spots where... Okay. Edit. Okay, so that's her house. That's the guest house. It's part of the rule. Let's put her house down on ground level. Let's put the kitchen next to her. There we go. That's not too crazy of a redesign. Reading St. Benedict's justification for that does make some sense. Well, I think the Holy Spirit missed that gift on me then. Because I still make terrible jokes.
Eugene, where are you? Oh, hello, it's you.
Have you seen Eugene? He must be in the garage again. When you see him, can you ask him to bring me my old woolly? It's getting a bit chilly in here. Oh no. My legs. Oh, my old legs won't carry me anymore. Perhaps you could get me to the prow. Yeah. We'll take you to the prow. Oh, you had it. Oh, I missed that part. Well, that's a good thing I'm not a Benedictine then. Oh, she doesn't like being nagged by Astrid. Who would like being nagged by Astrid? Astrid, where are you, young man? I have opinions. Right, let's plant... We have cherry and apple, so let's plant a pear. And we know peach is coming as well, so... I'll not plant something in the other spot. I don't seem to have a way to chop that down. Okay. Okay, so Alice wants to go back to her house in the evening. Great. She can spend the day in the prow. So let's go talk to the shopkeeper. Gale has redeemed a father joke. Just as you do that, I have one that leaves my mind. I'm sure I'll come up with something. That's not the one. I'm just doing... That's a free one. Yeah, no one's in there. Hey, Gale, how do you know when a bucket is sick? It looks a little pale. Isn't this where we're supposed to go? Am I not in Furugawa? A little pale is a cup, not a bucket. I think I went to the wrong place. I did. I went the wrong direction. Concern it. A vampire bucket could be a little pale. All these tea leaves and I don't see a future for my jokes. Pale, pale, pale. I think it'd be a pale ale pale. Oh, I actually wanted to cook up something alongside the cherries, but oh well. Okay, she was recently hugged. I don't want to overhug her. So that is a thing you can do in this game. Oh, shoot. I thought that change in light was the change in... Or was the... Ding, we're done cooking here, but nope. Oh well, I'll just throw in more cherries. Burb. Alright. It's free shellfish. Actually, I know I just got here, but I want to go... It's the evening. I want to go take Alice back to her cottage.
Oh, the sea air is so nice. Once my daughter Annie and I had a little outing to the seaside. It was such a nice day. Oh, there was a picture of the day in the envelope you found the other day. I've got it right here. Look at her. Always so fashionable. Later that day, she lost her hat to a gust of wind, though. Oh, what a shame. Oh, are you ready to walk me back home?
Yes.
Oh, we got Annie's beach outfit.
Well, look at how tenderly Stella guides her. One hand on the arm, one hand on the back. Now let's go find that shopkeep. If I can get the zipline ability by the end of the day, I think that would be a good place to call it, because then we could do the mines, and I think that's where we'll get the zinc, maybe even the ash. I probably could have gotten Astrid in whatever spirit this is earlier, but, oops.
Well, hello there, customer. Is our catalog not to your satisfaction? Are you interested in some specialized items? Oh, a woodprint, you say? Yes, yes, I know it. It sat in my special stock for an eternity, and then suddenly, everyone was looking for it. At first, it was a very pedantic person, very rude. And worse, they were haggling on everything. I didn't even tell them of the print. Gave them some junk instead, and then later, this giant walrus lady came in and demanded that I sell it to her. The thought crossed my mind to start a bidding war, but she offered me some serious coin for it. That lady, let me tell you, she was loaded. Anyway, that's all I know about it. I can't help you with the print, but feel free to browse my wares.
Anything useful, or not useful I can sell you? Wait, what? Oh, I thought I saw a third log kind in there, and I was very confused. Report back to the art collector. Ah, you're back. Did you manage to get the missing print? No, it was already sold. But how? Wait, is there a competing art collector roaming about? A walrus lady, you say? Of course it was her. Oh, that horrid woman. That dim-witted, egotistic, patronizing charlatan. She calls herself the collector, if you can believe it. She doesn't even collect anything. Oh, I'm sure she bought the print only to spite me. I should have never told her about my collection. Oh, dude, you're saying some things. Well, I'm not one to wave away competition. That ugly witch is in hiding. Hiding from you. I don't specifically know why, but the news of a new Spiritfarer made her skitter away like a puny cockroach. How fitting. Yes, you're the Spiritfarer. Tell me something I don't know. She should have known then better to tell me the location of her hideout, though. She's hanging out at these quarters. -150, +150. Pay her a visit, would you? And when you see her, show her this figurine. She'll know. Believe me, she'll know. This? Oh, don't worry about it. It's just some junk Theodore gave me. I'm concerned. We've recently acquired some jerks on board. Or are about to acquire another jerk on board, at least. Because we already have Astrid. I bet this guy and Astrid are going to get along great. Yeah, it's sleep. There we go. Wake up, everyone. So, -150 is way down. Or, oh no, -150, +150. Okay, sorry. I was getting my coordinates backwards. I was doing a dumb. My old legs can't carry me anymore. Would you help me get to the prow? Of course. Yeah, I mean, if I were stuck in purgatory, I might be, like, a really long time, I might be getting a little, cynical about it, but, you know, I think that's kind of a more human way of looking at it, but yeah. I think some of these spirits are also not really, like, the ones we're collecting, some of them may have been here for a while. No, Astrid, no more words, unless you want me to build you a house. Why are you holding out on me, Munchkin? I might be old, but I still have a stomach. I have a feeling he likes exotic stuff. Oh, thank you, Munchkin. Aw. At least he does give us a hug. A hug brightens my day. Good, because I have treasure to go find. Nope. Marble. It's the first time we found marble. Yes, watering my plants while it's snowing, that seems like a good idea. Hey, gas station Rogers. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the follow. It probably won't be back when you come back because I'm going offline in 20 minutes. But thanks for stopping by. That's probably all the paella we need for now. Okay. So we can't do either of those. Let's give Alice a piece of wool cloth.
Oh, hello. How are you? Oh, what's that blanket for me? I used to have a woolen blanket very much like it. I must misplace it. Oh, thank you very much. It's very nice of you.
Ah, hello Susan's memory. Susan the Walrus.
I think I need a bucket of fried chicken.
I know, Uncle O'Toole. I'm working on it. Trying to find you some zinc. Okay, so you definitely need the double jump to get up here. Oh, hello. Oh, great. Just fantastic. The Spiritfarer's here. This godforsaken rock in the middle of the ocean. She came all the way over here. She saw the cold, steep surface of the cliffside below with its broken ladder. She saw all that and said, yes, how inviting. Surely I am welcomed here. Well, you found me. No use running from it anymore. Let me run the old tape for you. Ahem. Spiritfarer, whose name I don't know, nor care to know. I am the collector, otherwise known as Susan. The gods and all their materialistic arrogance have played a cruel trick on me. You see, I'm not a collector by choice, but by duty. Though you go ceaseless plunder of the world's very finite wonders, you will no doubt have come to stockpile a collection of junk to rival the greatest garbage dumps of history. My duty is to reward this unconscionable behavior with, well, more junk. What irony, is it not? My predecessor used to ask for the accumulated bundles as payment to do who knows what with. But the job description says nothing about that, and I certainly have no interest in your filth. So when the time comes, show me what monstrous assortments you managed to put together. Grab your meaningless reward and leave quickly. And pick up after yourself. Check out the owl statue. Wasn't there an owl earlier at some point? Aha. Oh, how exciting. You've started collecting a new type of junk. This time it's fish. They smell bad and they're terribly ugly, yet you can't try but catch them all, can you? Fortunately for me, you probably won't be able to complete this collection. They're slippery. Interesting, interesting. Ah, broken shiny rocks. What a joy. Well, you've got a long day ahead of you. Listen, don't let me keep you, Spiritfarer. You have two jobs now, finding gems and spirits. By the way, whoever came up with this ridiculous sounding name is Spiritfarer. It sounds terrible and doesn't roll off the tongue like my name. Susan. Susan. Susan the Collector. Guess who's maybe a little full of themselves? Next reward, diamond. Oh, wow. Halfway there, finder of bright rocks. You must really love the way they look. You're amused by such mortal things. It figures. Well, I'm not keeping you. Go. No, you are, though, because, like, I just want to turn in everything and call it a day with you, Susan. Oh, how wonderful. You've pounced almost all the precious gems around. How lucky this world is. Oh, great destroyer, show us your ways. Oh, great. Well, you're not clearly listening. Take this and leave. Susan! I will show her the figurine, but I'm going to get all the other rewards she's willing to give me first. Oh, well, let's see what you've got now. Oh, it looks like some kind of... Why? Why in the name of everything that is holy and beautiful do you carry this horrible thing around? It's not only offensive to my eyes, it hurts the very essence of my soul. But wait, I recognize this. Oh no. I should have known this from the beginning. It's that man, isn't it, who sent you? That shallow, materialistic, superficial fraud of an intellectual. He sent you, didn't he? Oh, what a crooked, treacherous weasel. He's mad about losing his precious little woodprint, isn't he? Well, now he's never going to see it again. I can guarantee it. Perhaps he can learn a thing or two about asceticism. And for this preposterously silly collection, your reward, well, let's see. No. This can't be. No, the fates can be so cruel. Well, alright. Just take it. This stupid woodprint. Take it back to the blabbering fool. Just take anything you want and get out of my sight. Oh, there you go. Susan, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship that I'll never see you again. Okay, let's go get that art collector. Ooh, what's this? Nordsea Pier. Oh good, Fergat was very close. Cook up a little more aluminum. I wonder if we can mix our, like if we upgrade the smelter, if we can mix two ores to make something, because we could make bronze if we get tin. Oh, what's this place? Ah, my cabbages. Nope, we can take her back. Who are you? What am I? Oh, I'm sorry, I was distracted. I'm alright, I'm fine. Yes, I'm sure. Just carry on with your day. Oh, no. There's no. Oh, thank you, I was getting quite hungry. Find a way to shake Alice out of her confusion. Oh, I have an idea. the beach outfit. It's actually pretty sharp looking.
Oh, Annie, you've... Oh, I'm sorry, I mistook you for my daughter. You're dressed exactly like her. Of course, the wind blew away her hat. When I find her, you should tell her where you found yours. I'm sure she'd like to be able to have another one again. It sure looks better than that unmatched red hat of hers.
So this outfit, but with a red hat. Okay. Nope. There we go. Controls are a little finicky on that.
Annie, there you are. Oh, I was scared. I thought you had left. I'm feeling tired. We're on our way home, aren't we? Tell me when we're there.
Annie's outfit. Bring Alice to the Everdor. And talk to her while wearing... Oh, no. Oh, that's how we have to say goodbye to her? That's heartbreaking. Welcome back, Map Pack. We're about to take someone else to the Everdor. As soon as we get this art collector on our boat. But, Alice is suffering very badly from her dementia now. And we have to dress up. You have to say goodbye to her while wearing the rainbow hat with the propeller. That'd be how I go anyway. Well, we actually have to go wearing the red hat and the outfit that's based on her daughter from a picture so that she thinks we're her daughter. Oh, back again, are you? And would you look at that? You've got the piece. Oh, Stella, this is very good. You managed to rustle that woodprint from the cold hands of that walrus. What ingenuity, what spunk. Yes, you'll prove an immense asset to my endeavors. I'm not an asset. I'm a human being. Or shall I say, our endeavors. Well, is decided then. There's no pursuit left for me on this island. Therefore, I will join your little expedition. As passenger, mind you, not as crew member. Yes, yes, such a boat might be the perfect gallery. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Okay. Buddy, if you're going to be on the ship, you got to do a little bit of work. Just a little. It ain't no pleasure cruise. Yes, Alzheimer's is a very tough disease, especially on those around them. I'm actually going to go to bed first, just so it's daytime. Oh, I can't. You have to talk to your person. This game kind of reminds you of The Great Divorce. You know, I have not read that, but I should. All right, all right. I know I can do it. Sure, it might tingle a bit, but, well, what if it hurts? Oh, you're here. Good. You won't let it be painful, will you? Okay, I don't really trust you, but what choice do I have anyways? I've heard great things. It's on that list of should, but have never gotten around to. Ah, we have a bird. Ah, I did it. And I didn't even faint. Ah, I actually feels all right. Who knew? Well then, let's get started. What? But of course, pardon my enthusiasm. I forgot to introduce myself. How forgetful and impolite. I am Gustav. And I don't know why, but I can't exactly shake the feeling we've already met each other. Anyhow, I'm glad that our paths have crossed this island, and I know that together we will accomplish great things. This world is wonderful and disgusting, so is art. Truly, Stella, the gods have struck us with a grand inspiration. It is our solemn duty to elevate souls with beauty and awe, my resolve. Strong, Stella. I will put together the greatest exhibit of my life, and you will help me. Oh, how grandiose it will be. But first, payment. I've been called a lot of things, but never a cheapskate, and yet you're not working. What she was left out the whole night? No, I'm here to... Oh, she baked things. Oh. I'm trying to take you to your home and also to your home. I've never even heard of that map hack. How drab. Still, the boat looks delightful, but this prow, what a waste of space. Really, you should consider brightening it up with a figurehead. I'm sure any decent shipwright will help you with that. Okay. Before we start working on the exhibition proper, some preparations are required, namely, making sure we have access to proper installations. Now, bear with me. Is this boat equipped with some sort of woodworking facility, such as a sawmill? Yes. It would have numerous structural applications. Yes, how convenient. A loom would also make clothes and canvas. Is there one aboard? Yes, fantastic. A foundry with metalworking tools also has a number of applications. Is there anything that could fit the bill? Yes, literally that. Yes, you've got a well-furnished ship, Stella. And finally, the cornerstone of a curator's box of mail box. Correspondence with my fellow academics and collectors is essential to my work here. You've built a mailbox already? Fantastic. Well, it seems a couple of items are left unchecked. I'll let you get to it. Themes of purgatory / afterlife and the integration purpose of art into the spiritual life / heaven. Huh. That sounds really fascinating. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. We're going to finish with taking someone to the Everdor. I think that's a beautiful way to finish it today. Now we know where Astrid's first sister is, because she's on the map. So that'll be something we can find and do on our way back to the old place up north where we get zip lining. But that'll be for next time. This is definitely one of those games I have to like pay attention to my own like lifetime here, because I could just get so lost in this. And just be like, oh, well now I've got this, so I can go do that. Oh, and that opens up X, Y, and Z. And those open up, you know, you can find PDFs if you Google it. No purchase required. All right, well, I will load it on my Kindle at some point then. I have a feeling at least one person in my house owns a copy, though. Just given the makeup of guys in my house. What does a hug from you look like? Oh, I do not mind a caring moment now and then. Bit peckish, eh? Oh, thank you, Skipper. This meal is nourishing. You're not sure it's in book form, or at least standalone since it's a short story? Ah. Here, sweet pea, why don't you have a good old-fashioned fisherman? Old-fashioned meals make me feel like a warm blanket, something for a cold night. Yeah, well, you made it, so it's fitting that you should eat it. Thank you, Munchkin. Give him coffee, he eats sandwich. Seriously, even just this eating animation looks great. Oh wait, that's the bus stop that takes us places quickly. We don't need that. You know, that magic seal bus. Comet powder. Ash, I understand. It's easy. But comet powder, I still don't know what to do about. Tales from the Perilous Realm. Oh, okay. I have actually heard of this before. Yeah. I had forgotten that's its name, but when you brought up the themes, I'm like, that sounds vaguely familiar. But then now that description of Tolkien poking fun at himself, like that, I have heard of it. I've not read it, but I have in fact heard of it. So I will have to. I will have to check it out. And I can almost assure you that someone in this house has Tolkien's Tales from the Perilous Realm. Turns out I live in a house with a bunch of guys who enjoy reading, especially the philosophical and arts-based things. No, Uncle Itchable, I'm sorry. We have a very important job to do right now. We're almost at the Everdor. Cool, cool. I mean, knowing my luck or life, I'm probably going to wind up reading it and seeing you in a Peachoni chat and just start chatting away there about it. It is right and just. Whoop, I didn't know you could go through the Dow like that. My bad. I like how they say it in Spanish, as justo y necesario. It is just and necessary. Yeah, no, I mean, I love studying, even just like look at something like scripture, like the way it gets communicated in different languages. One of my great examples is the Ethiopian version of Genesis 1. When it says God created, the word that's used, it shares the same root as servant. It's because it's a Semitic language, the root is GBR, so it's, God gebra the world into existence, but you could also read that as God servanted the world into existence and served the world into existence, and I think there's a real beauty in that. Oh, Annie, we're there, aren't we? Can we go now? Yes. All right then. All right, let's go. Of course, I don't have any of my Ethiopian books are all in my office, other parish office, so I can't really cite it directly. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, wow, that is a really cool little root connection. I am actually more than you might imagine. I like how everyone is standing here for this and watching. Like, literally, they have all come to say goodbye as well. And you haven't seen that with the other ones, but because of her nature. The payoff on that map pack was even worse. Oh, what wonderful scenery. Did you find this place all by yourself, Annie? Well, you've gone exploring earlier, hadn't you? Oh, such an adventurer, you. I'm proud of you. Yeah. These trees are quite marvelous. Eugene will be so mad to have missed that. Perhaps he'll be able to take some time off next summer. Yes, let's return here. I feel I could stay here forever. Well... You recently told me about school. Is everything still going well? And your grades, are they... Oh, of course, you graduated a long time ago. I'm sorry, I don't know how I got this confused. You're... You're not Annie, are you? Yes, of course. I guess I have been rather forgetful recently. It's okay. Where you're going, there's going to be wholeness of memory. Maybe Eugene will... When you see your father, tell him about the trees, won't you? I'm sure he'll be excited to come with us next year. Aw, what a beautiful constellation. That one made me very teary-eyed, not gonna lie. What's her spirit flower? Oh! Lilies. How beautiful. Yeah, I haven't read the Silmarillion, but I've seen a lot of, like, video essays on it from, like, Nerd of the Rings. And, the parallels that he created. Now for the real work. Now that our preparatory work is fully complete, I think it is time to start working on a proper infrastructure. Ideally, a project of this breadth would dedicate space to protect some of the more fragile elements, but it also requires an office from which the curator can work comfortably, as well as a waiting area, a front desk with some storage, and maybe even a gift shop. Though we might manage without one. What? How much? On the contrary, Stella, I assure you that these are all perfectly necessary. Luckily, as a rational man, I assure that space might be an issue. That's why I have a multi-purpose area that you would do wonderfully. Let's get to it. Grab a pencil and listen carefully. A gallery is paradoxical space for it both houses works of art and is one. Architecture is, after all, the first expression of humanity's mastery over nature. And that is one of the many ways Bauhaus School of Chicago integrated Etruscan architecture in its ideas. Sir, I appreciate your dedication and your passion, but we just said goodbye to our friend with Alzheimer's, and it was sad. You're kind of ruining the moment. All right, have you got that all written down? I don't mind lecturing you again. Do you need me to repeat it? No. Well, if you insist, I'll get going then. Yeah, this game is very sweet and does make you cry. And it does that because it creates the characters well, and it's, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we only knew that hedgehog only for a little bit, but dang, what a beautiful game. I love Spiritfarer. I love this game so much, and I'm just gonna have to sit with, you know, taking Summer and Alice through the Everdoor today. That was a lot. It was beautiful, but a lot. But we're over time, so I need to wrap this up. But thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been great to look at Spiritfarer with you today. No streams next week. I'm out of town and won't be available because it will be in a different state. But we'll be back the week after. And we'll keep doing more Kingdom Hearts 3 Chain of Memories on Monday. Tuesday, switching over to Minecraft. And Thursday we'll do one more episode of Spiritfarer, and then I'm thinking after that for March of switching over to a different game for Spirituality Thursday, just because I do love this game, but it's also longer than I expected. I kind of want to look at a few other things and kind of take this in a little bit more slowly. So probably come back to it sometime in the midsummer, early summer. But I got some other things in store too that I think should be a lot of fun to look at. So that is the current plan. But thank you to everyone for joining, who's followed, subscribed, everyone who's joined over the Discord. Hope everyone has a great rest of their weekend. Yeah, go for it, Matt Pack. Moobot, I told him it was okay. It's okay. Sometimes Moop, I like having an auto mod, but like also sometimes there are times that an auto mod can get in the way. But ultimately, its role is more helpful. Anyway, and then Beor lay dead, of no wound or grief, but stricken by age. The Eldar saw for the first time the swift waning of the life of man, and the death of weariness, which they knew not in themselves, and they grieved greatly for the loss of their friends. But Beor, at last, had relinquished his life willingly and passed in peace, and the Eldar wondered much of the strange fate of men, for in all their lore there was no account of it, and its end was hidden from them. Dang, Tolkien wrote so well. I love all the stuff by like about Eru Iluvatar. It's beautiful, and ultimately he's really just kind of reflecting on the Christian God in that sense, because he does argue basically that the I think it's like in the 8th age that our world comes about, but it's still the same world, and so that sense of Eru Iluvatar is really God, and the I love the in the creation myth when the one guy is like trying to mess with it and screw up the chanting that's bringing the world into creation. And Eru Iluvatar is just kind of smiling like, yeah, it was already my plan. So it's so good, but I don't have time to talk about that. I got other stuff I need to do. Need to wrap up. But so thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Take care and God bless.